When my real story began, my father was 65, broke, and alone. He only had a car, a chicken recipe, and one last chance. In 1890, in the state of Indiana, Harland Sanders was born. His childhood was not easy. When he was only 6 years old, his father died. His mother had to work long hours to support the family so young. Harland stayed home to take care of his younger brother and sister. That was the moment he first started cooking. At first, it was simple food, bread, potatoes, sometimes chicken. But those small moments in the kitchen would later change his entire life. At the age of 12, Sanders dropped out of school and started working. His life quickly became a long series of different jobs. He worked as a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, a firefighter, an insurance salesman, and he even served in the army. But almost every job ended the same way. Either he quit or he was fired. By the time he was 40, he had no successful business and no stable income. His life looked more like a story of constant failure. Everything started to change in 1930. Sanders got the chance to run a small gas station in Kentucky. The road nearby was busy, full of travelers and truck drivers. To earn a little extra money, Sanders began cooking meals for people who stopped for fuel. At first, he cooked in his own kitchen. There was no restaurant, no menu, just homemade food. But very quickly, one dish started to attract attention: fried chicken. People began stopping at the gas station specifically to try it. And slowly, that small kitchen turned into a real restaurant. But one day, everything almost ended. Another gas station operated nearby, and tension grew between the owners. An argument turned into a serious conflict, and eventually the situation escalated into a shootout. During the confrontation, one man was killed. Sanders nearly lost everything, but somehow he managed to keep his business alive. Around that time, he focused on improving his most popular dish. The biggest problem was time-fried chicken could take up to 30 minutes to cook. For a busy restaurant, that was far too slow. So Sanders began experimenting. Eventually, he discovered a solution. He started using a pressure cooker. This allowed the chicken to cook much faster while staying juicy on the inside and crispy on the outside. At the same time, he perfected his seasoning, a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, a recipe that would later become the foundation of KFC. Just when it seemed like things were finally working, another problem appeared. A new highway was built, and it bypassed the town where Sanders' restaurant was located. Traffic disappeared, customers disappeared, and the business collapsed. Harland Sanders was 65 years old. For most people, that is the age of retirement. But Sanders decided to start again. He had only two things left: his car and his chicken recipe. So he began traveling across America. He visited restaurant owners and offered them a simple deal. They could cook his chicken recipe, and in return, he would receive 5 cents for every piece sold. Most restaurants refused, again and again. Some nights he even slept in his car. According to many stories, Sanders received more than 1,000 rejections. But eventually one restaurant agreed, then another, and then a few more. Slowly, his recipe began spreading across the country. That was the beginning of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KF. C. Sanders himself became the face of the brand. The white suit, the black string tie, the famous beard. He traveled from restaurant to restaurant, personally checking how his chicken was prepared. By the early 1960s, hundreds of restaurants were already using his recipe. In 1964, Sanders made a life-changing decision. He sold KFC to a group of investors for $2 million. However, he remained the public face of the company and continued promoting the brand around the world. But the story did not end there. After the sale, the new owners began changing parts of the recipe. Sanders strongly disagreed with these changes. In one interview, he even said the new gravy tasted like wallpaper paste. He openly criticized the company he had created. At one point, he even filed a lawsuit against them. Despite the conflicts, the legacy of Harland Sanders was already secured. Today, KFC operates in more than 150 countries and serves millions of customers every day. And it all started with a small kitchen at a gas station. And a man who refused to give up even at the age of 65.